Hello everybody. So today I'm going to talk about new stadiums coming all over the world. I've been talking about stadiums in East Africa, preparation for the upcoming AFCON tournament in 2027, which will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. But today I've decided to look at some of the new stadiums being constructed around the world. Recently there has been a spike in construction of stadiums. I think most countries are trying to up their game in the department of sports. So I'll start with the smallest to the largest among the stadiums that are expected to be open either in 2025 or 2026. So the first stadium is Stadion Zagreb in Zagreb, Croatia. Stadion Zagreb in Zagreb, Croatia. Zagreb is the capital city of Croatia. The Stadion Zagreb is being constructed by, has been designed by Croatian architect Otto Bari. Cost is 60 million euros, which is equivalent to 65 million US dollars. It is home to the football club Dinamo Zagreb. The renovation it is actually a renovation. There is already an existing stadium, so they are reconstructing and increasing the capacity. Renovation will include increasing the seating capacity from the current 5,350 to 11,163. All the stands will be covered, unlike the previous design where only a few of the seats were covered. The design is rectangular in shape, which is quite a conservative way to build. Most stadiums nowadays are either round or oval, but this one is square in shape, but it has a modern touch to it. The ownership will be divided between the city and the state, so the city of Zagreb will own 50% of the stadium. The state of Croatia will own the remaining 60%, and all the money that will be earned from the stadium will also be divided in a similar manner. The second stadium is Streltsov Stadium. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the word well. Streltsov Stadium. It is a Russian word, so it's hard to pronounce. It's also called Torpedo Stadium. It's being constructed in Moscow. Moscow is the capital city of Russia. The stadium was originally constructed in 1959. It is named after Edward Streltsov. Edward Streltsov is a Soviet-era footballer. You see how people are naming stadiums after footballers and sportsmen, unlike here in Africa where we name more stadiums after politicians who have never played football. So it was built in Soviet times, and today it's generally obsolete physically and morally. You know, the the Soviet times, the Soviet era is associated with a lot of oppression and dictatorship. So so anything that is considered Soviet is sometimes seen to be obsolete morally, and also it's physically obsolete. After reconstruction, which is being implemented by Ingrad company, the stadium will become a modern football arena for holding national and international competitions. Torpedo is a stadium with some rich history, so the symbols and elements that have become part of the club's DNA were the basis of the arena's architectural appearance. The stadium will be the home ground for Torpedo FC. It is expected to have a capacity of 15,000 people after completion. The next stadium is Stadium Balgarska Armia. That's a Bulgarian word. It's also hard to pronounce if you're not Bulgarian. So it is Stadium Balgarska Armia in Sofia. Sofia is the capital city of Bulgaria. So the capacity of the stadium is 16,000. It was planned in 2013, but construction just began recently. It is the home ground for CSKA Sofia. You all know CSKA Sofia. CSKA Sofia is one of the most popular and successful clubs in Bulgaria and Eastern Europe. CSKA Sofia has been planning to build a new stadium since 2000s. As you know, it's not easy to build a stadium. So it was only after a partnership with Sport 5 that was established in June 2022 that some concrete action was achieved. The new venue will be built on the site of the old Bulgarian Army Stadium. The facilities are football only, football specific stadium, so it won't have an athletic track. It will be modern and lined with sustainable development and requirements of the highest fourth UEFA category. At the end of September 2024, the start of the actual construction of the new stadium was announced. Construction work is expected to last a year and a half and will be completed in spring of 2026. The main contractor is Glabols. The word is very hard to pronounce if you're not Eastern Europe. Glabogazstroy. Glabogazstroy. Whatever it is, I think If you can pronounce it, then you can pronounce it. The facility is expected to cost 90 million leva. 90 million leva is equivalent to about 50 million US dollars. The next stadium is Stadia Armand. Stadia Armand. That's a French word. I know many people speak French, so if you can pronounce that French word, okay. Stade. That's a French word. I know many people can speak French, so you know how to pronounce the word in French. Stade. So the stadium is being constructed in Corsica. Corsica is a city in France. It is also the home ground for Corsica FC. It has been the most important stadium. You know, it's also a reconstruction. There was already a stadium existing in its place that was constructed in 1932. Much hasn't changed since then, so it has become dilapidated and incomparable in terms of size with major French grounds or other stadiums in Western Europe. The modernization of the stadium will involve construction of a new stand towards the east and construction of a full canopy. The original stadium did not have a full canopy. A museum and a restaurant will also be constructed in the north stand, and a new facade will be constructed around the stadium. The next stadium is Ashdod Stadium. As you can hear, the name sounds Israel. It sounds like it's direct from the Bible. So it is an Israeli stadium. It is being built in the city of Ashdod in Israel. The capacity is 20,000 people, seating capacity, and it will be the home ground for Ashdod FC in Israel. It is also being designed to be one of the most advanced stadium in Israel. The whole project will consist of a whole sporting complex actually. It will have an arena, an Olympic swimming pool, and some training pitches. The existing stadium will be demolished and a new one will be constructed. There will be no renovation. The old stadium, the site for the old stadium will be replaced with the housing estate. Then the next stadium is Hoima Stadium. Hoima Stadium is in Uganda. I've talked about Hoima Stadium before in my previous video when I was comparing Arusha Stadium to Talanta Stadium. Hoima Stadium has a capacity of 20,000. It is being constructed by the government of Uganda. The contractor is a Turkish company called MS Suma. So the construction of the stadium is already ongoing. The stadium will be used in the 2027 AFCON competition that will be hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. I think this will be the best AFCON competition in a very long time. The project is expected to be completed in December 2025, but I've looked at the progress. I don't think it will be complete by December. I think it will extend into 2026. Maybe mid 2026 is the more practical date because construction just began late last year and it hasn't gone very far. The next stadium is also another similar stadium in Uganda that is also being constructed to host the AFCON competition that will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. It is called Aki Ibua Stadium in Lira. Like I had said in my previous video, it has been named after John Aki Ibua, Uganda's first Olympic gold medalist who won the 400 meters hurdles in 1972 Munich Olympics. The stadium will feature a 20,000 seat main stadium, a 2,000 seat indoor sports arena, a full-sized football field with modern changing rooms, a semi-Olympic 25-meter swimming pool, an outdoor courts for basketball, netball, volleyball, and badminton, a 1,000 vehicle parking facility, a 60-bed hostel for the athletes, and a state-of-the-art ICT infrastructure. The next stadium is Stadio Erasmo iacovone. Erasmo iacovone, as you can hear from the name, it is Italian. It is being constructed in the city of Taranto in Italy. I wonder if Toronto in Canada was named after Taranto in Italy. So it sounds the same. Some people even pronounce Toronto as Taranto. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's Toronto or Taranto. Italy has been known to have low quality stadiums by Western European standards. I hear a lot of people making fun of Italy for having low quality stadiums. A lot of people in Europe, of course. If you take Italy to another section of the world, it will have the best stadiums. But in Europe, it has one of the worst. So I think construction of this Stadio Erasmo iacovone will mark the beginning of a new era of construction of modern stadiums in Italy, which will be able to compete with other stadiums in Western Europe favorably. The stadium is a joint initiative of the city and a group of private investors. The boost came from 2026 Mediterranean Games, which Taranto received the right to host in 2019. The facility is to replace the old Stadio Erasmo iacovone, which has been in existence since 1965. So the stadium is going to cost about 46.8, let's just say 47 million euros. That is equivalent to about 51 million US dollars. So it will cost 47 million euros, which is a good cost, a considerable cost. 18 million of that will come from public funds and the rest will come from private investors. The next stadium is Messi's new stadium, Miami Freedom Park. It is being constructed for Inter Miami, the football team that is associated with David Beckham and signed Messi recently and has caused a lot of roar in the US. At least now many people in the US have started watching football, which they call soccer over there. So they have started watching soccer. I think Messi has really changed the game in the US. So Inter Miami are building a new stadium called Miami Freedom Park. It is a major leisure complex planned by private investors connected to David Beckham, of course, and will replace the current Melrose Country Club just beside Miami International Airport. Aside from the main stadium, the complex will have a 750-bed hotel, which is quite big, 93,000 square meters of office, retail, and commercial space commercial space and a public soccer academy. I think it will be a money-generating venture. It won't just be a home ground for Inter Miami. As you can see, it has so many things included. And it will have a lot of green areas, as you can see. The next stadium is Samia Suluhu Stadium in Arusha. This one is being constructed in Tanzania. It is being constructed, I've talked about it in great length in my previous video. It is being constructed to host the AFCON competitions that will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. It won't be a football-only stadium. It will have a running track around it, which is disappointing to me because we need to build more stadiums that are football specific in the region. The project was initiated and through an agreement that was signed between CRCEG and Tanzanian Ministry of Sports on March 19, 2024. The stadium, like I said, it has a capacity of 30,000 seats and it will be one of the host stadiums of 2027 AFCON competitions. It will be the most advanced stadium in Tanzania. The government also says it will be the most advanced stadium in East Africa, though there is also Talanta Stadium being constructed in Kenya that was said to be the most advanced stadium in East Africa by the government. So we'll see when the two stadiums are complete. We'll see which one is more advanced than the other. The next stadium is One New Zealand Stadium in Christchurch, New Zealand. The capacity is 30,000, of course. Christchurch was hit by catastrophic earthquakes in September 2010 and February 2011, after which many buildings in the city had to be demolished. A similar fate befell the city's main stadium, Lancaster Park, which was first taken out of use and demolished in 2019. Although repairs were initially considered, but they settled on demolishing the old stadium. So this stadium is being built to replace the damaged facility. But before that, there was another temporary stadium, 18,000 seater, that was constructed in March 2012 around the area. But now that they are trying to come up with a more permanent structure. The stadium will host rugby and football, and it will have a full canopy around it, unlike the previous that was demolished in the earthquakes. Special mention before I move to the next stadium is Dammam Stadium. Dammam Stadium construction hasn't started yet, but they have released all the renders and everything. Initially, the stadium, they had planned to build the biggest stadium in Africa in Dodoma, which was supposed to have 105,000 seating capacity. That would make it bigger than Soccer City in South Africa, which is the current biggest stadium in Africa. But somewhere down the line, they settled on a much smaller stadium, a 32,000 seater stadium, Olympic Stadium in Dodoma, where it will have a running track. It will have a full canopy around it. Not much has been released on the stadium because it was just announced a few months ago. I don't know if construction has started. It was launched like in February this year, so I'm not sure if construction has started yet, but it is poised to be complete in around 2026-2027. I don't think the stadium will host AFCON competitions because in Tanzania they already have Arusha Stadium and Benjamin Mkapa Stadium and Armand Stadium in Zanzibar. The next stadium is Mizuho Park in Nagoya, Japan. It will be the home for Nagoya Grampus. You know Nagoya Grampus, the J League club. The stadium is supposed to have a capacity of 35,000 seats. The project involves the complete demolition of the existing stadium and the construction of a new facility from scratch in its place. The new stadium will feature an athletics park flanked by 2 tire-covered stands capable of holding 30,000 spectators. Though temporary seats, it will have 5,000 temporary seats. If you add 5,000 to the 30,000, that makes it 35,000, which will be considered the official capacity of the stadium. The roof of the stadium will be characterized by a slightly irregular shape. The stands will be decorated from the outside with wooden elements. On a symbolic value, the facility is intended to represent the sky, the forest, and the earth. A specific facility will be a corridor running underneath the second tier of stands. On a day-to-day basis, it is to be used as a public running track for recreational runners. If you want to go and run, jog, and do whatever, you can go there and jog. It will be extended by a footbridge over the Yamazaki River leading to the second outdoor running track. The two running tracks will form a figure 8 shape. As you know, Japan is one of the best countries in the world when it comes to engineering. So you can expect Nagoya Grampus to be a marvel of engineering when it is complete. There is not a very huge stadium. The next stadium is the Ryan Field Stadium. Ryan Field Stadium is being constructed in the United States. It will be Northwestern Wildcats home for Northwestern Wildcats. The capacity will be 35,000. The cost of building the stadium is 800 million US dollars, which will be donated by Patrick and Shirley Ryan. I think that is very expensive for a stadium of 35,000, but I don't know the cost of, maybe construction cost in America, in the USA is very high. The plan is to build an entirely new stadium on the site of the existing Ryan Field. The proposed new facility will have a capacity of 35,000 spectators, which is more than 12,000 fewer seats than the current one, so it will be smaller than the current one. The stands will, however, be steeper. Steeper stands give a better environment than less steeper stands. So it will have steeper stands, which will bring the spectators closer to the playing field. The stadium will also occupy a smaller area because of the steeper stands, and it will also be lower than its predecessor. So it will be a smaller stadium because it is lower and steeper, so it is obviously smaller. The auditorium will be fully covered by a roof. The concept draws inspiration from the now defunct Chicago Stadium. The next stadium is Bishkek Arena. Bishkek is the capital of Kyrgyzstan. It has been constructed in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, and it's called Bishkek Arena. The capacity is 45,000. The construction of the modern stadium was announced many times before work finally began in the spring of 2024. The stadium is expected to be complete in 2026 with an investment cost of 60 million US dollars. I think that is quite cheap. I don't know, maybe the cost of construction in Kyrgyzstan is very low. The facility is being built in southwestern suburbs of the country's capital, Bishkek. It was originally planned to accommodate 45,000 spectators, but in early 2025 it was announced that the capacity has been revised, so it has been increased to 51,000. It will be a football-specific stadium without an athletics track. The facility will be characterized by original architecture, which is to refer to local traditions. The facade will be decorated with distinctive local patterns. The facade will be decorated with distinctive local patterns, and the whole structure has been designed to resemble a ute. A ute is a traditional Kyrgyz. Kyrgyz is the demonym for Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyz is the demonym for Kyrgyzstan. The word is also hard to pronounce. I don't know how they pronounced it. So a ute is a traditional Kyrgyz hut. So the stadium will be constructed to represent a traditional Kyrgyz hut. The next stadium is Aramco Stadium, or also called Dammam Stadium. It is being constructed in Koba, Saudi Arabia. The capacity is 45,000 seating capacity. It will be home to Al Qadsia FC. Saudi has seen a spur in growth of football after Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Al Nasser. There is a lot of attention that has gone to football, to the Saudi Football League. So more and more stadiums are building more and more clubs are building their own stadiums. The project was initially named Dammam Stadium. The facility was actually to be built in the neighboring city of Koba rather than in Dammam itself, although the designated plot of land is located in the administrative border of the two cities, which are part of the same metropolitan area, the Dammam Koba metropolitan area. It is the design of the stadium is being designed to imitate swirling water of the Persian Gulf near Dammam, where it is being constructed. As you can see, the architects did a very good job it resembles swirling water, like a whirlpool. It will resemble a whirlpool. The stadium will have a football-specific profile, so there will be no running track. The stands will be able to accommodate about 46,000 spectators and will be divided into two tiers, which will be additionally separated by strips of boxes along the pitch. The upper edge of the stands will take on a wavy contour, and video screens will be built in the corners. The next stadium is Talanta Stadium. Talanta Stadium in Kenya. It is being constructed to host the 2027 AFCON competition that will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. I think it is the biggest stadium under construction in East Africa. Not really in East Africa, because I think Ethiopia are constructing a bigger one, but it is the biggest. It is the biggest football specific stadium under construction in East Africa. The stadium was designed by the University of Nairobi Enterprises, led by Professor Erastus Abonyo, and it is a football-specific stadium. It will be fully covered with a canopy all around. It is expected to be the most modern stadium in the country and one of the most modern in Africa. It will mostly host football and rugby matches, and also musical concerts. It is being constructed in Jamhuri Grounds in Nairobi. The contractor is CRBC, China Roads and Bridges Corporation. It is a contemporary design that will be decorated with Maasai shields all around. The Maasai shields that are also found on the Kenyan flag. It will be decorated with Maasai shields all around it. The next stadium is Wuxi Stadium in China. I don't know whether it is Wuxi or Wuxi. I don't know how to pronounce. Maybe it's Wuxi. Wuxi Stadium in China. It is being constructed in Wuxi, China. The capacity is 60,000 seating capacity. The new complex will include a main stadium, a large sports hall for 18,000 spectators, an indoor swimming pool, and an auditorium for 2,000 people, and a building with apartments for athletes, a hotel, a fitness center, and a commercial space. Surrounding the facility will be a recreational park with playing fields, pads, water reservoirs, and greenery. The complex will occupy a plot of about 56.7 hectares, not acres but hectares. The plan of the entire complex, as well as the appearance of the building, was inspired by the natural forms found in wetlands and their plants. The main stadium will be equipped with an athletics track, and it will have a capacity of 60,000 spectators. So it is an Olympic stadium. It is not a football specific stadium, because it will have a running track. The next stadium is a stadium that you all know too well. It is the Etihad Stadium, which is the home of Manchester City football team. The stadium is already existing. They are just expanding. Remember, there was already an expansion on the stadium some time back, which moved the capacity from about 45,000 spectators to around 54,000? I'm not sure. Originally, the stadium was constructed in 2022, between 1999 and 2002. It was constructed between 1999 and 2002 and was inaugurated at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in July 25, 2002. After the games, the venue was converted into a football stadium and reopened in 2003 and has served as Manchester City's home ground ever since. The first stage was the superstructure of the third level above the south stand, which increased the capacity of the stadium by about 6,250 people. In the process, the facilities in this part of the stadium were to increase significantly with the new commercial areas planned. After the expansion of the south stand, the capacity of the stadium moved from 45,000 to 53,400. Now they are planning also to expand the north stand to about 62,000 spectators from the current 53,400. The south stand, they added a new tier. It had two tiers, so they added a new tier. The tier which increased the seating capacity to 6,250 spectators. And the south stand, they're not going to add another tier. They're only going to expand the existing tier, the existing second tier, to be longer and higher than it is right now. From the inside, it's quite the southern tier is quite different from the northern tier, but from outside it will look almost similar, only that the northern tier will also be connected to other structures like hotels and apartments, which will make it slightly different from the southern tier. The next stadium is New Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, in the United States of America. It is going to be the home ground for Buffalo Bills. The current stadium was built in 1973 after the team joined NFL officially. The construction of the new arena for the franchise has been under discussion for some time, and in 2014 a special team was set up to work on the project. It was made up of Buffalo Bills representatives and local politicians and businessmen. In March 2022, it was announced that a funding model for the construction of the new facility had been agreed. The cost is estimated to be about $1.4 billion. It is to be covered by the state of New York, which will contribute $600 million, Erie County, which will contribute $250 million, and money from Buffalo Bills, which is about $550 million, of which $200 million will be a loan from the NFL. There were later reports of further increases reaching $1.7 billion. Any cost overruns are to be covered by Buffalo Bills. The new stadium will be built right next to the current Buffalo Bills existing arena, which is Highmark Stadium across Obert Road. The stands of the new arena will be divided into several levels and will have a capacity of around 62,000 spectators, almost 10,000 fewer than the old stadium. The new Buffalo Bills facility will thus rank among the smallest in NFL. NFL has very big stadiums, apparently, because if a 62,000 spectator stadium is among the smallest, then that league really has big stadiums. So they reduced the seating capacity, but they will improve the comfort and visibility. The spectators will be able to enjoy a more diverse range of seating choices. The upper stands will be roofed with the canopy covering 65% of the seats. Full roofing of the stadium, which is becoming increasingly popular in the NFL, was abandoned not only because of the high cost of such a solution, but also because broadcasts from snowy Buffalo often attracted attention and almost became part of Bill's image. The stadium will also be equipped with the team equipment. Buffalo is a cold area. The last stadium is also the most